Genius. Why didn't you have it Rick Springfield's picture, since he's from Springfield, Illinois? I wish that I could be Rowdy's girl. Hey, Dennis, I was wondering what it was like when you first got into stand-up. I don't have this. An asshole I am. Every week I put that up. What was it like? Tough. Brutal. I remember getting creased with a little scar under my eyebrow here. That I was on stage at a strip club one night. And some Italian guy was heckling me down front. He was sitting with this old lady, and I said something like, "Hey, did you see about the Siamese Italian girls separated today? They were joined at the mustache." He got so pissed. Threw this beer bottle, hit me in the head. Strip club. Chaos. I was wondering what it was like when you first got into stand-up. How did you handle a bad night? Well, you know, I had a friend once, and this was a very touching thing for me. My second or third time up, I played a joint up in Dormont, tough room. A lot of people there, and I went up and smoked in front of every friend I had. And there was a quarterback on the football team at my high school named Mike Menegazzi, Menegazzi, and he died young. And I always have a soft spot in my heart for him. We weren't even that close. But he died young. I get choked up when I think about him. Because he was the coolest kid in the school. And I remember when I croaked it, I was outside thinking, "Oh, Dennis, you know, I'm one of those guys. Finally get some entry." And I'm out of high school at this point, obviously, but a lot of friends who knew me when come. And I ate it. It was embarrassing. And I thought, "Oh, you finally get some entree and you blow it." And I remember Mike Menegazzi coming outside and putting his arm around me and say, "Hey, I can't tell you how courageous I think you are to try that." He was the captain of the football team, our quarterback. He had no reason to do that. And I can't tell you how fond I am of that memory of him. And that's how it was at the beginning. Rough, and occasionally you'd have somebody who would come up and give you kudos for trying it because it was so rough. And that held me instead. To this day, I can think about that moment and tell you that was one of my most important moments as a stand-up comedian. There were probably 3 of them. Jay Leno telling me, don't take it, don't read anything deep into it. Just don't become an asshole. Stay on the road. Just write good jokes. Your jokes are good enough. Stay on the road. Don't get into dope. Don't get drunk. Don't not show up. Be nice. Stay on the road. Key moment. Menegazzi putting his arm around me, telling me I admire your balls. Richard Belzer one night in New York at a nightclub, lighting some woman up who said, "Do Jagger." And he had a Jagger impression. And throughout his act, she kept saying, "Do Jagger." And I remember Belzer looked at her and he said, "Hey, what am I, your fucking comedy pet?" He said, "Why don't I come down there and tie your old man in the chair and do you in front of him?" I'm sitting there in the crowd thinking, wow, the crowd goes crazy. And I'm not saying I ever went that route in my comedy, but it reminded me that they want you to be efficient, even if it's deadly efficient, as opposed to being a sucky nice guy. And up to that point, like Carlin, when you see his early shots, he was trying to be a sucky nice guy. And then he said, "Screw it." And he dropped off the grid. And I remember watching Bells of that, and I go, "Oh, I see. They want you to be adept. And then whatever else is ancillary to that." And up to that point, the only thing I wasn't concerned with was adept. It was all presentation and this and that and bullshit. So those 3 moments, that's what I remember about the beginning of stand-up. Were those nights where it went badly your fault or the wrong? It's always the comedian's fault. Nobody puts a gun to your head to step up in front of a crowd. Anybody who whines about it being anybody else's fault has completely missed the point. You're not born on stage with a mic in your hand being presumptuous that human beings are going to laugh and give you money. That's not life. You've assumed that. Only one thing has pushed that equation down the mountain, that pebble. You. So buck up. And that translated to life, too. Enjoy these samples of the Bathrobe Sessions, a weekly video available only to members of the DMZ, the Dennis Miller Zone, on DennisMillerRadio.com.